The Herd, wherever you may be listening, however you may be making this part of your day. Thanks so much. Wait, no, I screwed that thing up.
I was just thinking that it sounded like the opening to Jeopardy. Like, this is Jeopardy.
This is Jeopardy. That's Christine Leahy. Or actually, I should go like, that's Christine Leahy. There we go. Look.
That's you.
That's Christine Leahy. This is Doug Gottlieb. You're listening to The Herd on either The Herd Podcast, which, by the way, I have a new podcast on the Herd Podcast Network. It's called All Ball. Like basketball. Like, oh, it's all ball, ref. All ball. Anyway.
Oh, it's not just all basketball?
It is all basketball, but it's all ball.
I like it. That's creative.
It has nothing to do with the ball we shot that shall not be mentioned.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, that one didn't even come up.
He doesn't deserve his own
show. Did not come up. Anyway, you can download that. Let's do this on the iHeartRadio app. We're here on FS1. We just, like all of you, we're watching the college basketball games, and I, like many of you, had my bracket busted yesterday. I won't talk about my bracket a lot, and I'll tell you why you shouldn't talk a lot about your bracket upcoming in a little bit. We got an absolutely outstanding hour for you before we get you off to your weekend. But I want to start with this. There is a bit of an exodus from New England, as when Nate Solder is now a member of the New York Giants. We've seen other Patriots leave New England as well. But I saw this story, and I thought it was fascinating, and I kind of get it. You know, in order to succeed in business, and especially in the business of sports, there's one thing that you have to have. Like, look, I'm okay with disagreement. I'm okay with people challenging. I think anybody who leads, whether it's their radio show or TV show, or you're leading a company or you're leading a team, you're okay with disagreement, with a dissenting opinion. On the other hand, when that dissenting opinion becomes one that is shared by too many, shared by more than one, by the dissenter, they become somebody who's pulling in a different direction. And one of the reasons that Bill Belichick has been able to be so successful, to the tune of 8 Super Bowls, he's the most successful and esteemed pro coach in the history of modern American sports, is because he gets guys to take less money. It's because he's not afraid to jettison players that are past their prime and that are coming up on a contract year. This from Mike Girardi, who's, of course, a Boston reporter, someone who knows, is watching our show tonight. Source says Bill Belichick is making players miserable. And, yes, a lot of this ties back to Alex Guerrero. Right? This report says that Pat's players like Gronk and Brady are miserable. That they don't feel that Bill Belichick appreciates the sacrifice they put in order to put their bodies on the line. And when I read this, I know why Bill Belichick is attempting to and has essentially cut as many ties as he can with Alex Guerrero. Look, he's got to keep Guerrero at arm's distance. He absolutely does, because he's still a trainer for Tom Brady, and Brady is his quarterback. But if you want to know why he pulled his sideline pass, if you want to know why he changed the routine and eliminated the on-field office and giving him carte blanche, this is the reason why. It's not that Guerrero's medical techniques aren't ahead of the curve. It's not that what he's saying in terms of taking care of the body and maybe Bill Belichick not appreciating players' bodies inaccurate. Okay? Anybody who's a physical therapist, especially a guy who's essentially an advocate for players, is going to react as such. But the reason Bill Belichick had to cut ties is because this guy is driving a wedge between the players and the coach. It's that simple. He is not pulling in the same direction. And look, he is allowed to act as he wants to act, to treat his players as he wants to treat them, to tell them whatever he wants to tell them. But if he wants to be associated with the Patriots, you have to be pulling in the same direction, and he's clearly not. And while Tom Brady can be slightly influenced mentally, Rob Gronkowski and others can be influenced far more easily because they're a little bit more simple-minded. They don't understand the complexities of the relationship. It's a lot like the Jedi mind trick. Doesn't work on everybody. Okay? And while this doesn't work on everybody, but if it works on one player and it's one player questioning Belichick and Belichick's methods, that's too many. Because the Patriots, by their own estimation, are already going to be at a talent disadvantage because they're choosing character over talent. Belichick, if you've read anything about who he wants to surround himself, I want guys that want to be coached. I don't care about having the greatest players on earth. They look and laugh at the Pittsburgh Steelers with Antonio Brown and you know, doing the Facebook thing in the locker room and having a super talented running back, a position to which they seem to be able to find anyone they want off the street to fill. And instead, the Steelers are franchise tagging their running back because they can't agree to a long-term deal. They laugh at that. That's not the Patriot way. Matter of fact, it wasn't the Steeler way for a long time, and the Steelers are kind of caught between who they want to be and who they actually are. But when I read this about Alex Guerrero, and for a long time, people have asked this question, like, how could you run a guy off who had such a great relationship with Tom Brady, who was so close to so many of the players? This is why. Sure, players are miserable. Everybody's miserable. Like, that's the sport. Most people are miserable in their job. Most workers who are compensated far less than that of pro football players are miserable with the day-to-day grind of every day checking in and doing the same thing. The difference here is you can either act as an advocate for the team and pulling in the right direction and stitch them up and stretch them up and kick them back out there in the football field and say, hey, we're going to do better. Don't worry about Coach B. He's in it for the right reasons. Or you can be the guy that says, I know you're miserable. The old man's lost it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't appreciate you. But if you want to know why Alex Guerrero got run off from the Patriots, this is why. Because you can pull in the same direction or an opposite direction. And every football coach will tell you. The second you have somebody pulling the opposite direction, the entire stagecoach gets slowed down. That's how you get yourself run out of the building. All right, let's change gears here. Oh, see what I did there? Change gears here for a second. Doug Gottlieb in for Colin here on the Herd. Let's go out to Fontana, California, because as much as we doing that now, or are we doing that in a little bit? We're doing that now. Okay, good. Jeff Gordon's been waiting, been ready. I got more on the Patriots to get to, but he's on the Cowherd Global Network satellite. He's a four-time Cup Series winner, 95, 97, 98, 01, 93 wins. He's a Hall of Famer. And, oh, yeah, by the way, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I mean, he was at least 3 sheets to win last night as we were at the Strand House in Manhattan Beach. There's a lot of makeup you got working there, Jeff. You look a lot better today than you did last night.
No, what are you talking about, Doug? We had a great time
Jeff
watching some college basketball.
Give me 1 second as we'll test it up. I'm kidding. I don't even think I saw Jeff drinking last night. Can we try you one more time?
Yeah, I got you, Doug. Do you have me?
If you haven't been paying attention to NASCAR, Bubba Wallace is the biggest story in the sport. I mean, arguably the biggest story in the sport since Jeff Gordon finished second at the Daytona 500, the African-American driver. But more than anything, it's not just that he's an African-American driver. It's that he's really good, and he understands all that comes with being kind of the center of the picture of diversity for a sport that has so utterly and completely lacked it, that people have pointed to, like, when are we going to? And the answer is now. And I'm interested in the Bubba effect. I'm interested in that. How we doing as far as Jeff Gordon? I know I might have quick triggered us in terms of going out there. I'm just so excited to talk to Jeff.
Okay.
All right. We're still working on it. But it's really fascinating. Like I know that it's one of those topics to which you're like, are you talking about it because he's black, or are you talking about it because he's good? Like, how about both? That's the great thing. And this is no different to me than the reason that the NFL is trying to go to Mexico, is trying to go to China, has gone to Europe, to which you get topped out in terms of your market here, right? So you go overseas. NASCAR, which grew like wildfire. I mean, just grew and spread in the 90s, and then seemed to plateau and maybe even start to dip a little bit. Now, look, NASCAR has completely usurped, like, the Indy 500. Indy 500 used to be the biggest race in our country, auto sport race in our country, and it still is locally, but nationally, internationally, really nationally, the Brickyard is just bigger. The ratings dwarf that of the Indy 500. But they've had some growth issues, and Jeff Gordon retired. Smoke retires. Dale Earnhardt Jr. retires. I mean, any name, Danica retires. Any name you can think of, with the exception maybe of Jimmie Johnson, because he won like seven in a row?
I do not.
7 in a row? Now I'm hearing Jeff. Has retired. So, in addition to struggling with growth, you needed something to bring eyes to the TV set, bring people back out to the track. And I feel like Bubba Wallace is the legit real deal, not just because he's African-American, but because he's good and has a great personality. Let's welcome back in 4-time Cup Series winner Jeff Gordon. Jeff, bright-eyed bush, I was giving you the business earlier about drinking last night at the Strand House. Is the Bubba effect?
We were definitely enjoying some great basketball.
That's true, unless you're an Arizona fan. Is the Bubba effect real? Is it tangible? Is there starting to be kind of a different crowd, bigger crowds, because of the effect of Bubba Wallace on the series?
Well, you have to understand he's been around NASCAR for several years and has been making an impact on it through, his personality and his driving ability. So, what he does off the track as well as what he does on the track, I think is what's earned him the opportunity that he has this year. We're at Richard Petty Motorsports. And then he comes in with, a group of other young, talented drivers and then sets the world on fire in Daytona, the biggest race of the year. And so obviously that, has catapulted the popularity and his brand to another level. Now, I think we all knew that, the RPM, Richard Petty Motorsports, is not one of the top teams out there, and that they're going to struggle at some of these other tracks. But I think what I like now is the focus is not just on Bubba Wallace, because of the diversity conversation, but also, about what his skill set is, what his opportunity is in the sport. And so, we're going to see them continue to work really hard at being competitive, and the focus being, him as a competitive driver, which he definitely has the skill set. So, it's a great story. But I think there's a lot more to it than just that, and I think we're all enjoying seeing what he does.
Okay, so I guess here's the question. Look, Jeff, I have an expression I think you can probably agree with and appreciate it. It's that you can't fool players, right? Like, you can't fool basketball players. Yes, a basketball player who's played with a basketball player, they can tell you if he can play. Same thing with football. I cannot fool you and tell you a guy can drive or a woman can drive if they can't drive. And there were always whispers about Danica, like, yeah, but I don't know. Can he drive? Is he legit in terms of his ability? Obviously not there yet, but his ability to be a mainstay on the circuit.
There's no doubt about it. You just have to factor in the other part of it, and that is the team and the race car. I really believe if RPM Motorsports can build up their competitiveness as a race team, I definitely think that Bubba will be able to follow right along with that. I think right now his skill set is probably above the skill set of the team. So, I think that's the biggest challenge right now. But there's no doubt. I mean, we've been watching him in trucks and in Xfinity before he came into Cup. And last year he ran a handful of races in the Cup level and did extremely well. So, yeah, he has the skill set. We just got to get all those pieces to align if we're going to see him really take it to the next level each and every weekend and compete with some of the veteran drivers that are, really dominating the sport right now, like Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's won the last 3 at 42 years old. Amazing. The Auto Club 400 is in Fontana. Coverage begins this Sunday. Of course, Jeff, part of the coverage now for the third year at Fox, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Big Fox. Let me ask you about Jimmie Johnson. Look, he's a former teammate of yours. He won this thing He won the Cup 7 years in a row, but he's fallen on some hard times. What do you attest that to?
Well, it's I think a lot of it, again, going back to the race team, the race car. I think Jimmie Johnson. There's been conversations about how much longer is he going to do this? His age. You can just throw all that out the window. I mean, this guy's in incredible physical shape. He's one of the best race car drivers, if not the best race car driver that's ever sat behind the wheel of a stock car. And right now, Hendrick Motorsports, they're in a kind of stage of getting their cars and their teams to there's a new body style with the Camaro ZL1 this year. They're struggling with that a little bit here early in the season, but I think you're going to see them progress as the season goes on, and Jimmie Johnson's the guy to help them do that because of his skill set, as well as Chad Knaus, his crew chief. So they're going through some tough times. You look, last year and a half has not gone the way that we've seen it traditionally go for Jimmie Johnson, but I have no doubt in my mind that they got a lot of smart people over at Hendrick Motorsports, and he's one of the best, that they'll find their way back to the front.
All right, horses for courses. Fontana, does the setup help Kevin Harvick, who's won 3 in a row? Is there someone else who Fontana sets up best for?
Well, this is a high-speed 2-mile racetrack. Over 200 miles per hour entering the corner here, and it's one of the oldest surfaces on the entire circuit. And so you really see tire wear and the car sliding around, have those high speeds around these big sweeping corners. So I think that, it is going to play out well for Kevin Harvick. Those guys are on top of their game on every aspect, from pit strategy, pit stops, Kevin's driving ability. The car just has incredible speed on the short runs and the long runs. I think he's going to be the guy to beat. But if anybody can knock him off of this run that he's in, it's Kyle Busch. I think, this is a track that suits him very well. He's been second to Kevin the last couple of races. So look for him to be pretty strong this weekend.
Jeff Gordon, check him out on the Auto Club 400. He recovers quite well from alcohol poisoning. I'm kidding, Jeff. I'm totally giving you the business. This Sunday, 3 p.m. on Fox. You actually do look great, considering the fact that you were at least up watching ball in Manhattan Beach, and you're out in Fontana. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
It was hard to leave. I must say, it was hard to leave. That was a pretty nice setup there that Fox had. Great to see you last night, and good to talk to you today.
Likewise, Jeff. Like the most unassuming superstar I've ever been around. I've been 3 or 4 different events with him, and he just kind of walks in. He's like, "Hey, my name's Jeff," whatever. And then you're like,
Jeff, yes, I know.
Jeff Gordon? Wait, Jeff Gordon. Yeah, Jeff Gordon.
That's nice.
Serious, nice human being. It is nice. It's refreshing. Absolutely. I don't care about a couple of things in your life. Right?
Mine specifically, or everybody's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there are things that we say that we might nod, but we really don't care about.
Oh, okay, got it.
And one of them, it always plays out right around this time of year. We'll get to that upcoming next. But first, hey guys, the madness is underway in college hoops. Spring training's in full swing with opening day, the NBA playoffs, and the draft right around the corner. This is a great time of year for the herd. It also means warmer weather and shedding away that heavy clothing. Gentlemen, it's time to step up your game with M-Drive. Don't you want to increase your overall performance, your strength, your stamina, your endurance, your energy, your vitality? The entire M-Drive line is built on science, clinically tested, safe, and effective ingredients designed to help you achieve your goals, boost your natural T levels, and most importantly, increase your energy. There's M-Drive Workforce that helps you get through a busy workday. There's M-Drive Boost and Burn. That's going to help you shed some of those fat pounds that you acquired eating wings right about now. There's M-Drive Prime. That just gets you off the couch. You got to get started. I want a new routine. You're looking for M-Drive? Go to Walgreens, Duane Reade, Vitamin Shop, Sprouts, and GMC. But right now, for Collins listeners, go to buymdrive.com. That's buymdrive.com. BUYMDRIVE.com. Type in the promo code HERD. That's HERD. You get 25% off. Buymdrive.com, promo code HERD. Make this the year that you refine your prime with M-Drive.